Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Performance E Streaming. It is Thursday night, and that means only one thing. It is time for the ANZCAR, Thursday night series, and it is the final round of the trucks here tonight on Performance E Streaming. I'm, as ever, Mr. Carl Wilkinson, with you up here in the booth, joined by Mr. Mark Johansson. Mark, how you going, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Good to be here at the track. Too tough to tame, as it's known. Some great throwback paints. So looking forward to a very good race and a challenging one tonight.
Absolutely. Lots of people have been struggling out here so far. Well, we're looking at about 29 degree track temperature, 27 degree air temperature, but that's going to drop as the night goes on here at Darlington. 150 laps here tonight at this very, very tricky track. Let's run through the grid and our starting order for tonight's race. And on pole position, it's Mr. Barry Neal. On the outside, it's Stevie Dubb taking out the front row. On row number 2, we've got Joshua Carroll-Walden with Dave Douglas. Row number 3 is Martin and Jones. Row number 4, we've got Bottrell and Urquio. On the 5th row, it's Edward Foster with Gary Wellman. Row number 6, we've got Norman Clark, Shane Bowen. On row number 7 is Riley Curtis with Kay Donnelly. Row number 8, we have Jamie Nankervis and Troy Davidson. Row number 9 is Scott Lefevre and Tristan Koch. 10 is Ben Henker with Wesley Closey. On row number 11, we've got Tom Williams and Brad Fenley. Row 12 is Ruben Phelps with Mr. Matty Ray. Row number 13 is Noddy Tompkins, Maxie Marshall, and that rounds us out as we get ready to go green here for the final race of the series. And who will be crowned champion, we're going to find out here tonight. As the green flag drops, we get to listen to these cars roar away for the first time tonight. Already a couple of drivers giving the wall a little clip and earning themselves a Darlington stripe mark.
Yeah, definitely are. Some big hits there, Carl. So we'll have to keep an eye on those trucks and see how long they last out there, because this is not one place you want to hit the wall too many times.
Sorry about that. I may have forgotten to turn the splash screen off. Sorry about that, folks. There we go. We are to live action now. Didn't miss too much. We just heard the noise and our voices. But here you go. Those beautiful trucks are now on screen. Up front is Barry Neal at the moment, with Joshua Carroll-Walden right behind him. They've gotten away relatively cleanly so far.
Yeah, nice and easy. Barry, we can see running that unusual line for him again, up on that high line. Although he is coming down to that dotted line where it's preferred to be run. You can either run down there, but your tyres won't last long if you're down on that line. The high line is definitely where you want to be around here at Darlington.
Yeah, it's one of those tracks where the high line is absolutely the optimal line, as we see Carroll-Walden getting a big tail slide through the exit of turn number 2 there. Really loose out there tonight in the early laps. They really wanted to get up to temperature, and big slide job once again from Carroll-Walden. He is absolutely hammering that 35 at the moment.
It definitely is. You definitely won't want to be pushing too hard. Tyres are going to be the issue here tonight. Should see around 57 laps on fuel, but it's going to be how hard you push on how long you're going to be able to stay out there. And we've seen in the past, Carl, once these things get light on fuel, on warm tyres, they are not fun to drive, as we see with JCW looking down the inside now of Neal for the race lead.
trying to make that move. It's always tricky taking that really tight inside line. It's one of those ones that can really catch you out. And it did just that, catching out JCW, running the Smoky Unix 1967 paint job driven by Curtis Turner tonight. A very pretty paint job indeed, and great to see some of these throwback colours and paint jobs out on the track tonight. We've got a fair few cars running them out there tonight, and quite a few people running old team colours, running real life colours. It really does add a chance for those drivers who fancy getting a little bit of a different paint job on the truck, chance to do it. We've got Dave Douglas in his OG paint job out there tonight in the number 10. Edward Foster back there as well, running the Mike Hurlbut paint job from the 1995 Truck Series 2. Some really cool paint jobs. And then, of course, Lockie Urquio running the Eastern Creek 12 Hours for John Bow and Dick Johnson's car. And all the SRM cars are running the sister paint jobs for those teams in this race.
And the boys are really put on some good paint schemes for these races. So it's good to see them, a lot of the teams getting involved in it.
Up at the front, it's still this battle going on between Carol Walden and Barry Neal. Two absolutely two really hard chargers on this track. Two very experienced drivers at Darlington. Carol Walden very, very quick around here, but Barry Neal is no slouch as well.
See Tristan Koch there in pit lane with some heavy damage down the right hand side. Didn't actually see what happened to him there, so unfortunately we missed that one. I don't know if Carl can find a replay to see what happened, but right now it's still all go.
Going back to the replay now, trying to see what happened to Tristan Koch. We saw one of the Valve cars just giving the wall a little clip. Tristan Koch up there as well. Oh, heavy into the wall. Just gets pinged up there, and that was a bit of a painful one in there. And oh, secondary moment there just on the exit, and well, luckily he's running a slightly tattered looking paint job tonight, which hides some of the damage, but that truck is very much in trouble, and that's going to be a long old paint job for the 550, a long old repair job for the 550.
Yeah, back up front though, Carl, we've got Barry Neal and JCW still out there in front, but look who's closing in. Jason Martin has closed that gap right up now, so he's definitely looking at making a move shortly. It won't be long before it's a three-way battle, that race lead.
You can see Carol Walden trying to make the move here on Barry Neal too, just trying to get it down the inside, seeing if he can get this pass done. Not quite got the momentum there, not quite got the speed to do it at the moment, but he is really trying to attack. He wants to get past Barry Neal so he can try and scarper off and stop Jason Martin from closing in on him right now, and see if he can get himself a little bit further in front of Jason, who is in attack mode for sure.
Yeah, definitely right. And one of the big things tonight is that it's no guarantee of a championship, although it is a hard ask for Lachlan Urquio to take over and take the championship, Carl. It's only 14 points between them, him and Martin, but yeah, it's going to be a tough old one.
We see Lockie down here in 9th position at the moment, just behind Edward Foster, and Lockie would love to just get up a few positions, close that gap, and get himself up into the lead of this race. He needs to be up in the lead of this race effectively, and Jason Martin needs to have a bit of a bad one. So if Lockie can finish a good few places ahead of Jason Martin and get himself right up at the front, he's got an opportunity for the title, but it's going to be a tricky thing to do because, well, It's Jason Martin we're talking about, and he is never easy to beat on track. Even when he's having an off night, he'll still get himself up in the top 10.
Yeah, 100% right. I was talking to Lockie before the race, and he said, "Look, I'm just going out to have a bit of fun tonight, see what happens, and do the best I can." So he's going into the final race with the right attitude, because that's when normally something happens, good happens for him.
No matter what happens, it's been a very strong season for Lockie, and he has absolutely come into some really good speed this season and shown that he is absolutely one of the top drivers in the series. So even if it is second place finish, not a bad result at all for the 2024 season. As Carol Walden gets a huge slide off the corner, manages to save it, but this is going to leave him open to Jason Martin coming in for the battle for second place right here. Martin's going to put him under all kinds of pressure.
Heading laps in, Carl, and those tyres would be already starting to hurt. So, and JCW was pushing that truck fairly hard. So, I think maybe the best of those tyres are gone. So, keep an eye out for Martin to really probably start to try to make an attack on that second position. And Walden's into the wall.
This is going to be Martin's best opportunity here, side by side right now. That just cut the momentum off of Carol Walden, and Martin gets the move done up into P2. Goes Jason Martin as he needs to try and chase down Barry Neal, who's built himself up about a 1.2 second lead with that battling behind him. He's managed to just get a little bit of a gap up in front and move himself out into the lead of this race. You can see the gap Barry has at the moment. He's sort of in a decent amount of pace at the moment and is setting some good lap times as it stands.
If for some reason my timing screen isn't working, Carl, so I can't help you there.
There we go, that should fix that problem. Hopefully.
Yep.
night of technical issues tonight. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
It's been a week of it, Carl. It's yeah, it's been good fun, but been a week of little technical issues. We can see there in the background JCW now starting to come under fire from Stevie Williams, one of the DPR trucks.
Yeah, Stevie Dub's got some really good pace here tonight, and he is very much pushing on. He's got Ryan Jones right behind him, who would love to take another victory this season. Ryan's been on absolute top form recently, and not just on the oval side of things as well. We saw last night in the GT Freeze over in Aussie Outlaws, he had a very good run as well, Mark.
Yeah, definitely did. He had a great run there in the wet. Over in Alton Park, there in England. So he'll be mate, this would be a dream drive for him tonight in the dry.
A little bit of rain on the ovals, it could make it more interesting. Tell you what, it wouldn't make it any less slippery out there. The track is looking pretty perilous. These cars are definitely struggling for grip out there tonight, and quite a few people are struggling a little bit now, especially into the run. Stevie Dub moving his way up into third position, coming up nicely. And, well, there's a whole train of cars behind. You can see there's a big group of vehicles sitting in just behind, being led by being led by Edward Foster, who's sort of got a little bit of a gap out over Nick Bottrell. Lachlan Urquio, Shane Bowen, Dave Douglas, Gary Wellman, Norman Clark, Cade Donnelly, Riley Curtis, and then it just drops back to Troy Davidson in 15th position. But the top 14 are absolutely covered by nothing at the moment. They are really racing close with each other.
Yeah, good close racing, and we've seen that right throughout this series, Carl. From the word go back in round one, at Phoenix. It was really close, and it's really been closer every week. So the boys everyone should congratulate the boys for some great racing. But
We've got
however,
a caution flag out, and it could be from Nick Bottrell. Nick Bottrell, Lachlan Urquio having a little close shave. Dave Douglas as well. Going back to the replay here to find out what's happened here. See if there's bigger contact between Bottrell and Douglas. And I think this is what brought out the caution. There's a little bit of side-on-side contact in the corner. They get into each other, and Douglas goes round. Heavy impact there, bringing out the first caution of the night.
Yeah, just some side drafting and just a little bit of a rub too wrong as we see Barry Neal heading for the pit lane.
Yeah, we're going to see everybody coming in to the lane now, I'm sure, and getting themselves a fresh set of boots here and a little bit of extra fuel in the tank. Fuel will be not super critical, but it's more so those fresh tyres. That's going to be the big benefacting part of it, I think.
ACW
stayed out, yeah. So that is a bold move.
Now these guys on fresh tyres, we can see the sun starting to go down here at the moment. So these guys will definitely get a little bit of a longer run now that this track's probably starting to cool down a little bit. So JCW is going to get swamped, I'd say, in those first couple of laps. We can see Tristan Toch back out there on track, so that's good to see him back out there. Unfortunately for him, though, he's 12 laps down.
A lot of people just taking 2 tyres, Mark. So, Stevie Dubb took 2 sets of tyres. Norman Clark, 2 sets of tyres. Cade Donnelly, 2 sets of tyres. Jamie Nankervis, Tom Williams, Scott Lefevre, 2 sets of tyres. So, we've got a mix of strategies at play here now, Mark.
Yeah, definitely going to change it up. They've probably done that to because it's the right side that really takes the beating here. So we'll see if that works. You probably get away with just the rights for the first stop, but you definitely want to do 3 stints on those left side tyres. So next time they're in, we'll definitely see them taking 4 tyres, I would say.
Wow, this is going to be an interesting restart. You got Carol Walden on tyres that done 29 laps. You got Stevie Dubb on some fresh tyres, some worn tyres. You got Barry Neal on full fresh tyres with Jason Martin, Norman Clark up there as well on just 2 sets, and a whole heap of valve cars towards the back as well. And look, this is where you've got to be so cautious of spinning up the tyres, of making a mistake on the restart. It's so easy to make that mistake when you take 2 tyres or when you're on older tyres. Of course, only 29 laps done here, so not that many laps, but it is enough to sort of get a little bit of wear into them. The main thing, though, is it's going to just drop the heat out of these tyres, so they're going to be sort of getting back into their operational range. They won't have as much life in them, but they should hopefully still work out well. And, well, it also leaves you a spare set of tyres up your sleeve later in the race.
You're definitely right. So we should see these next service intervals around lap 86 if we stay green. But JCW is going to fall short a long way off that because he's still the only one that hasn't been through pit lane, I believe.
Yeah, he's the only car out there that's not made a pit stop. So he is he's rolling the dice a little bit here and trying a very different strategy.
He'll be looking for another caution around that 50 laps, 50 to 57, so he can get in, get some fresh tyres and fuel, and get back onto a same or nearly the same, or probably a better strategy than the guys that have just pitted now.
Will the gamble pay off? We will find out in 120 laps time. But for now, we're going to be going back to green flag racing here at Darlington. A track way too tough to tame. The lady in black, she often kicks back. Who is going to take it tonight? We'll find out as the green flag drops here for the Neuropower ANZCAR Trucks 2024 season final, and JCW gets a great restart up front. Stevie Dub just struggling a little bit with those off uneven tyres, as just gets a little bit of a moment, but they are all away nicely. The majority of the cars making it away here, and it looks like we've got everybody under their own steam.
Great start there by Stevie Dub. So that's good. But Barry Neal now making the move for the race lead over JCW on the inside and gets it done nice and cleanly. Martin making the move on Stevie Dub, third place down the inside, dives it down right on that broken white line around mid corner. He's also going to get JCW here.
Those 4 fresh tyres looking like they are paying dividends at the moment. The drivers on the 2 sets are struggling a little bit. Stevie Dub's dropped down into 7th position, 6th position, 7th position. So he is not quite got the pace that he wanted with that 2 set change. He got a lot of track position, but it is not paying off in the long run. You can see the back end is just that little bit sketchy on that truck as well. So this is crucial information for the majority of these drivers, that 2 sets of tyres are not really working the best way. 4 sets are probably the best option to go, unless we get a green-white checker.
Yeah, JCW there too has just lost another 2 spots. He's now down into... showing him in 3rd, but that's not right.
6th position.
6th position. So, but the man that's that is on the charge is Lachlan Urquio there with Ed Foster, now up in the 4th and 5th.
Yeah, got some good pace right here, and they are charging along nicely. We've got lots of racing going on track. Lots of positions being swapped around, and it's a little bit chaotic down towards the mid-pack, and you can see drivers that took the sort of 2 sets of tyres just getting the cars balanced in now a little bit as all the temperatures come into play. But there is a lot of angry cars behind them, all waiting for position, and plenty of racing action to come. Up the front, it's Barry Neal back in the lead with a 0.4 second gap over Jason Martin, but that gap is closing quite quickly. Martin is flying. Then a little bit further behind, it's Ryan Jones, Edward Foster, Lachlan Urquio and Gary Wellman. And do not discount Gary Wellman from this race. He has been on an absolute flyer this season. He is always quick and always one to watch out for. He might not make... He's one of those drivers that you sort of don't notice in a championship. You sort of don't see him often sort of right up the top sometimes. Some series you'll see him right up the top and having the wins, but when he's in sort of championship contention mode, he just solid throughout the season and will just score points. And we saw that in the Gen 6 races we had in the Lightning Series on Monday nights. He managed to get a 2nd place in the championship just through pure consistency and speed.
Yeah, now the other problem that these guys will be having is down that back straight, coming out of turn 4 onto the back straight. That sun would be now straight in their eyes, so it makes it hard. Out of turn 2, out of turn 3, down the back straight, coming into turn 3. So it's would be not a nice place to be right now. As you see, we're right on board Ed Foster as he comes out of turn 3, 2, and that sun, that cloud cover is just got the sun behind him now, so a little bit lucky there, but you could see by just that little bit of glare that you can see Ed touches the wall, not the fast way around there, Ed.
It's just on the exit of the corner. That's where that glare is really the worst. It's just at this point here, and it's just going to catch you for a brief second right on the corner exit, and that just takes your eye off the game. So easy to make a mistake when you can't really see through the front of the race car, and especially when you've got to be millimetre perfect on the exit of these corners. You know, it's one of the things racing ovals, you know, you have to absolutely take the car as close to the wall as humanly possible. For the road racing specialists out there, it's a bit like racing around Monaco or Pau or Macau. You know, it's one of those tracks where you have to race right up against the barrier, and you're doing that at very, very fast speeds as well. So, you know, you've got to be absolutely millimetre perfect right on the exit, and you just want to give the wall the tiniest little kiss almost, and that's what the Darlington stripe's all about. Is you just want to give that wall just a tiny kiss, enough to know that you're there, but not enough to sort of slow you down or cause damage. And it is such a tricky skill to master on this track.
Looking further back in the pack, everyone's settled down. Everyone's running single file at the moment, so it's just settling into that mid-section of the race. So keep an eye out and keep an eye on what's going on. JCW now has fallen down to 10th position.
Just saw Ben Henker there, just getting past Cade Donnelly, one of those drivers that just took 2 sets of tyres. And well, JCW's still got some fairly okay pace, it seems. He's keeping himself ahead of Stevie Dubb at the moment. He is the highest driver that's on old tyres. Of course, we've had a few people just taking right side only. But JCW, he stayed out on that caution, so his tyres have done a good 44 laps in this stint, whereas everybody else is only about 16 or so laps. So he's still got some good pace out there, not really losing too much. He's only 10 seconds behind the leader, and as everybody's tyres start to heat up and plateau out, he's starting to just keep himself in the area where he can keep up with everybody. Hard charger Dave Douglas, we saw him getting caught up and bringing out the caution flag. He's managed to work his way from the back of the pack up to 9th position. So Dave Douglas is absolutely flying out there at the moment. He's got the bit between his teeth, and he has managed to get himself back inside the top 10.
Yeah, excuse me. Battle here at the moment for Troy Davidson and JCW, and Ruben Phelps joining in on this battle for 9th, 10th and 11th. Troy Davison gets that pass done now for 11th.
Yeah, the Simboy driver out there and up inside at the top 10, and again getting some good pace as we see JCW battling it out with Ruben Phelps, I think. That
yes, that's right, the 06 green and white machine, the throwback to a BP paint, I think.
Yes. Unfortunately for Ruben, he's a lap down. Not sure what happened. I saw he lost a lap in the early stages of the race. So I don't know if he missed his gridding slot or something like that. But Ruben Phelps a lap down here, and that is painful. But if we get another caution, he will get himself back onto the lead lap.
The boys in their chat room said that he was having internet problems, so he may have just missed the start.
Meanwhile, up the front, Jason Martin in the lead with Barry Neal, and the gap's ebbing and flowing a little bit up here. The gap grew a little bit, and then Barry starting to close it in a little bit. The gap to Ryan Jones started to close a little bit, and now it's starting to open up a little bit. It's one of those races where I think people are just in a little bit of conservation mode at the moment. They're not pushing too hard, but if they can get an extra couple of tenths here or there, they are going to take advantage of it. As we may have had something to happen to Maxi Marshall and Nick Bottrell. We see Maxi Marshall going slow out on track, and it looks like he's taken some serious damage. The right front of that car is not looking healthy at all, Mark.
No, it's definitely been into the wall there, I'd say.
Let's try get the replay here for Maxi Marshall, the 08 car, and what's happened here. It looks like there may have been contact between him and Nick Bottrell, and they're racing side by side at the moment. And they've got Brad Fenley right behind them. Let's see what happened here. I'm sure we're going to find out in one moment. As Bottrell caught the wall and just pinged him down into Maxi Marshall, and that pinged Maxi up into the wall. And we'll
leave that one for the.
We'll leave that one to the race stewards, I think.
Yeah.
Looks like a little bit of retaliation
aggression.
Not gone too well there, and maybe didn't notice the fact that there was some other circumstances in that one. As often can be the case when you're behind the wheel of a race car, the red mist can descend, and looks like that may have been the case.
And we can see Jason Martin now coming up to start to lap these guys. Got Lethborough here, will be the first trucker that he looks at getting a lap, putting a lap down.
Yeah, and all these valve cars, that they were a team that took the gamble on just right side only, and it is really not paid off for them. Those two sets of tyres just not working for them tonight, and it looks like it's just left the car really unstable and just not working how they need it to.
Well, it's got to be a sad time there for you, Cole, seeing a Toyota go a lap down, but we do have one Toyota still up the front in second. So that's one thing that they have done this year is the Toyotas have become fairly popular for some drivers. As we can see, that truck, I'm not sure who it was. Tom Williams. Heavy into the outside wall, coming in for some repairs, I would say.
He's pulling it in with Scott Lethborough there, and I wonder if they're coming in to make a stop to sort of get all four tyres, because those two tyres were not working. Maybe coming in a little bit early to try and get a bit of an undercut and see if they can salvage anything from this race. So maybe trying something here to see if they can get some salvages. Jamie Nankervis gives the wall a little rub there as well. Those two tyres really not looking like they paid off.
Definitely not. I'm just keeping an eye on JCW at the moment, because we're now on the lap 55 of this stint. Even though we have had some caution laps, you'll probably get out to now around lap 60, 61. I would say, on this tank of fuel. So we'll let you know when he comes down pit lane.
Right, we'll keep our eyes towards the front of the field, because Barry Neal has closed the gap on Jason Martin right here, and they are really getting close with each other and battling it out on track. Nankervis has come into the lane as well. So yeah, it looks like the valve cars are just going to come in and try and try something so they can get their race back into some form of running. A little bit further back, the battle is on for third place as well, as Foster and Jones fighting it out on track at the moment as they start to get through some of these lapped cars, and this is bringing Lachlan Urquio into the battle too.
See a couple of those lap cars, Carl, do the right thing. The preferred racing line here is the high line, as we have highlighted. Those guys started to move down towards that mid track to allow those quicker guys for that clean run around that top of the racetrack.
You sometimes have to be a little bit cautious doing that as well, because you end up with some marbles down there, and the track feels very different. All of a sudden you do the...
Sorry, JCW in the pits now, so he's only been able to extend that fuel gap, that fuel window by a lap, Carl.
Okay. So, let's see how this one pans out. And I think Norman Clark's pulling it in as well. And he came into the lane as well. He just took 2 tyres. So we're seeing some pit stops starting to happen here throughout the field. A lot of those drivers that just took right side only are not enjoying it. And they're going to come in for a full service here. And, well, try and get themselves on a race-winning strategy.
JCW right sides. And lefts. So he's gone for the 4 false tyre set. So he's now full of fuel and fresh tyres, and he's on his way back out of the pit lane. But unfortunately, that's dropped him down a lap in behind Ruben Phelps. So if we do have a caution, it's going to catch him a lap down, because Ruben Phelps will be the lucky dog. And as I say that, he's now just gone 2 laps down.
Yeah, you lose a lot of time in the pit lane here. It is a painful, painful pit lane to drive through, and it does use up a lot of your spare time. So you can see there, Joshua Carroll-Walden, he's just come out behind Edward Foster.
Pit lane speed's only 45 mile an hour, so that's a considerate speed difference, and it is an awkward one to come down. But we can see now JCW on those fresh tyres has just been able to get past Foster, but don't forget JCW is 2 laps down.
Yeah, he's going to be desperate to get himself at least onto just a single lap down, just so he can get the wave around if the caution does come out. So he's going to be absolutely pedalling that car along just to try and get himself back past Barry Neal and Jason Martin up the front. And he'll be hoping that these two start fighting it out with each other as well, just to cut a little bit of their pace off. And I'm sure Lachlan Uckfield would be happy to see these two fighting it out, and maybe making a mistake as well, because he still has that championship in his eyes, but very, very faintly. And you see just how quickly Carroll-Walden's caught up right here as he gets past Barry Neal. He is going to be just 1 lap down very, very shortly. And this is where incidents are more likely going to happen as well, Mark, of course, when you've got a whole mix of different cars on different strategies on the track, because it can make things just a little bit messy sometimes.
Yeah, it can make things messy, but it also makes things interesting too. We see one of the, I think that was Kay Donnelly, heading for pit lane. Yeah, it's interesting. Different drivers have different strategy. We can see now JCW back on the standard fuel run. So as I said before, these other guys will be looking at coming down pit lane around lap 86 for their second service. JCW gets a little bit loose. Didn't touch the wall, was able to keep it straight though.
He's driving that thing on the ragged edge at the moment. I saw one of the Valve cars there as well, just making his way back up onto the lead lap. And I'm not sure which one that was. I thought it was Scott Lefebvre, but trying to see the number. But they are sort of all starting to shake their way through, and it won't be long until the leaders will need to make their pit stops as well. Stevie Dubb, he stayed out there. He's one of the drivers that took just right side only, and he's up in 13th position. Definitely lost a lot of pace though, because we saw him running right up the front earlier on. So those 2 tyres really not working. That gamble did not pay off for really anyone.
It's definitely a chance you take, though. You've got to try something different. Try something different that no one else has thought about. But it looks like a lot of guys that have actually thought about this, and it really hasn't worked for them.
sometimes so early on in the race as well. It's not quite worth that risk. Although you don't lose as much as you would, say, you can sort of claw some of it back at least during the race. So it's one of those gambles that you sort of. It's not too bad to take early on, as we see Barry Neal just giving the wall a little rub there. But the want to try that sort of gamble becomes increasingly larger as the race goes on. And I think if we had 20 laps to go, I think a lot more people would have tried the right side only pit stop than we saw in that first stop under caution. Gary Bowman down in 7th position at the moment. Shane Bowen having a good run up in 6th position in the 308 Cobalt Racing entry. Definitely one of those drivers that is really making a name for himself on the oval side of things. Only started oval racing a year or so ago, so really has done a good job of getting to grips with this stuff and is definitely enjoying this style of racing. I was chatting to him on Monday night in the Gen 6s, and he is really starting to get used to these cars, as up the front we've got Barry Neal in the pit lane.
Very early stop there for Barry. So trying for the undercut.
That gives Jason Martin a little bit of breathing room here, and will move Ryan Jones up into 2nd position. And I wonder if Barry decided to pull it in now because there's some really heavy traffic ahead of him, and it's starting to just get a little bit busy out on track, and maybe he's thinking about coming in to try and get himself some clean air and try and take advantage of some fresh tyres.
Yeah, definitely. That could be one of the things. And the track temperature now would be really starting to drop too, Carl. So maybe he's decided to come in and take those fresh tyres and just make a bit of a run on that cooler track. As we see the lights now starting to take effect on the race surface.
As darkness falls here in Darlington, and track temperature down to 31 degrees, air temperature 26 degrees, but that will fall quicker and quicker as the night starts to come on here. Matty Ray doing a good job of working his way up the field. No big surprise for that one. But he's up in 10th position now, and just tugging along at a fairly decent rate of knots at the moment. He's trying to catch in on Ben Henker. So another one of the Cobalt drivers inside the top 10 at the moment. We've got Troy Davidson up in 8th position, having a solid drive. Dave Douglas in 7th position, a great recovery so far from him after bringing out the first caution flag of the night. Only one caution so far tonight. But he's had a very good recovery up through the field. Riley Curtis in 6th position, teammate to Dave Douglas, and they are running very well with each other and keeping pace there in 6th position. Shane Bowen, as we said before, up in 5th position, having a very solid run. He's just behind Lachlan Urquio up in 4th spot at the moment, who's just keeping himself in the mix at the moment, only 4 seconds off the lead, and just keeping that car as clean as possible. He's taking the endurance racer approach of just keeping himself out of trouble and keeping that truck nice and clean and sharp. A bit further up, we've got Edward Foster in the Atari and running well so far in 3rd position, keeping himself right on the tail of Ryan Jones in the DPR entered car. And of course our race leader is Jason Martin, the 21, absolutely flying out here at the moment and still setting some very good pace.
Yeah, he's Jason Martin's still doing some good pay. He's 31.4, but that's 2 seconds slower than his best of a 29.5. So it just goes to show you how much of a drop off there is on those tyres. So it's going to be interesting. When will we see him pull the pin?
Well, as he stays out there, the gap is going to be growing for Barry Neal, who came in relatively early. He's coming up nicely, and he's not too far away from getting himself back on the lead lap as well. So this is the pace that Barry Neal's got on fresh tyres, and he's trying that slight undercut, coming in a little bit early, take advantage of those fresh tyres and build up a bit of a gap here. Of course, that will... Ooh, one of the valve cars just having a big slap, managed to save it in the background, but that will come in. Lachlan Urquio coming in to the pit lane now, and he's right on that slightly awkward spot of the pit lane, but he's managed to get it in, pulled in nicely, so he will be hoping for a very clean stop here, and that's sort of in the realms where we were thinking about the green flag stops happening, Mark, around about lap 50-55.
Yeah, definitely right.
Into that stint, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. I knew what you meant.
Oh, Ryan Jones heavy into the wall. That is not going to help him out tonight. He managed to save it, but that would have been a very, very scary moment inside of that truck. He just managed to get it pointing in the right direction, but that could have been nasty.
Looks like he's been lucky and got away with minimum damage. So good driving there. But as I said, you definitely don't want to hit that safety barrier too many times, because that will do some damage in the end. And he's just touched it again.
Bit of a move for position as Dave Douglas moves up ahead of Riley Curtis because he's coming into the pit lane. So we're starting to see some more pit stops happening, but when will we see the leaders come in? As we see Barry Neal getting past Jason Martin, getting his lap back crucially for Barry Neal. So that's an all-important move to make when you've made an early stop. So if we do get a caution, he's not going to be penalised too much.
I think that's what Jason's trying to do. He's going to run as long as he can and hope for a caution. We've nearly seen a couple of times now a second caution for the night. But lap 83, he's only got about 4 laps left in that tank.
As he brings the truck into the lane, gets it stopped on its marks, and now he's just got that long route down pit lane as Ryan Jones takes the lead, and will get himself a nice little bonus point for that. I swear the drivers listen to us, Mark, when we're about to say we think they're going to stay out long and try something on the strategy. They just instantly pull into the lane, don't they?
Yes, they certainly do. So I can tell you, Martin's taken all 4 tyres. He's on his way out now.
And of course, he's going to have nice, fresh boots to chase down Barry Neal. So this is going to be the bit of the battle now. Did Barry build up enough of the lead over Jason to keep himself safe, or have those tyres really paid off? The driver that has made up his spot though from that early stop is Joshua Carroll-Walden. He's ahead of Jason Martin at the moment, but he's done 25 laps on those tyres. So there's that thing of where it's going to come back and just be a little bit painful for a bit, but it could still work out towards the end of the race. So we'll see how JCW does after taking the gamble of staying out. Meanwhile, Ryan Jones has come into the lane, and that has promoted Edward Foster into the lead of the race, and Edward Foster back into the lead of an ANZCAR race.
Yeah, it's good to see him back up there. I'm just keeping an eye on Jones for us in the pit lane.
And Foster bringing it into the lane now. Will we see Shane Bowen coming into the lane? I think so.
Oh, no. Ryan Jones overshot his pit bay, so that has hurt him. He's taken rights. up on the left. Oh no, that is really unfortunate for Jones, overshooting his pit bay. That was a
never a nice thing to happen in a green flag stop. It's going to cost him a good couple of seconds there, and that could be enough for Edward Foster to jump him in the race order. So that could be interesting to see. Ben Henker stayed out for an extra couple of laps, and he's coming in now, but he managed to get himself a lap led here tonight. And that leaves Barry Neal back up into the lead of this race, and away we go once again. Stevie Dubb comes into the lane as well. 60 laps into their stint, so some big long stints out there for Stevie Dubb and Ben Henker.
Jones is he's not getting any better, Carl. He's just touched the wall 3 times coming through turns 3 and 4. Sorry, 1 and 2.
He managed to keep himself out ahead of Foster, and I think he's going into attack mode right here, as he's wanting to get as much speed as possible. And just sometimes when you're on those cold tyres, it just gives you that little bit of an issue for those first couple of laps. But looks like he's gotten back up to pace now. Meanwhile, Jason Martin is 15 seconds off the lead, so Barry Neal's early stop is paying off for the moment, as he managed to build himself up a nice lead here. But we're going to see the Jason Martin now eat into that lead, as he's on nice fresh tyres. And Barry Neal's tyres will start dropping off a little bit in this stint. But did Barry pick the right time for his pit stop and absolutely pull out a blinder here?
Yeah, very good question. But the other thing though, Carl, is that if you look at it now, who's in third place? That Chevrolet of the SRM 42, Lachlan Erclio. So he's been able to move up into that top 3 on the podium at the moment, but still a long way to go.
Yeah, he's in spitting distance of Jason Martin right now, gap 1.6 seconds. So you can see his championship rival in his crosshairs at the moment, and he just has to keep that trucking along and keep it clean, and he could very well find himself in a strong finish tonight. He's just got to hope that maybe Jason Martin has a mistake, which is not the most common thing out there. Meanwhile, Ryan Jones has managed to just get past Joshua Carroll-Walden. Not too much of a surprise, as JCW's tyres are about 34 laps old compared to Jonesy's of just 6. So Carroll-Walden starting to drop back now, and a big slide out the corner again for JCW, who's absolutely wringing the neck of that truck at the moment. They're doing a good job out there, but not much he can do to fight these guys on the fresher tyres.
What Barry Neal would be hoping for is that Lachlan can catch Martin and they start battling each other, and that'll slow them down, and that'll leave Barry to stretch that gap again.
Well, the gap isn't closing too much, unfortunately, between Erquio and Martin. Martin is just stretching the lead a little bit over Lockie. 2.2 seconds though, so it's still within touching distance, but it is starting to grow. The gap to Barry Neal and Jason Martin is 12 seconds now, just gone into the 12-second range. And Barry Neal is catching up to a lot of traffic now, and this is going to really hamper his pace a little bit. And a lot of this traffic as well is sort of fresher tyres than him. There's a whole mix of different cars out here on different strategies, so that makes it tricky as well, because sometimes you'll overtake the slower car as you go to lap them, and then they'll come back at you because they've got more pace on those tyres. So It is really, really tricky out there, as we see Tristan Koch just giving the wall a little rub again. He managed to get out of it and save that car for another lap.
Again, Carl, we've seen some great battling right throughout the field, different positions. It's just been a great pleasure to be part of this series this year, because the racing, as we've said, has been unbelievable.
Car on the charge at the moment is Ryan Jones, you got to say. He is he's just got past Gary Wellman a couple of laps ago, and he is now trying to close in on Urquio. And absolutely, Mark, we've seen some great racing this season, and it's been very exciting indeed. The truck season has absolutely paid off, and it's been a fantastic 12 races here. And well, next up we're going to be heading off to the Xfinity cars, so a slightly different shift in the cars. But as we see Jonesy just giving that wall a big old rub there, but the caution flag is out. We've got a caution flag out, and it might be for Dave Douglas. Let's go to the replay here and find out what's happened to the number 10, the casting couch entry, Mr. Double D, Dave Douglas. And what has brought out this, the second caution for the night. Heavy up into the wall, and that was a big one. That is the end of that truck's night.
No coming back from that one.
Well, this has it's not exactly hurt Barry Neal here, who is going to come in. He's lost a lot of his large gap that he made up, but he's going to be able to come into the lane, get some fresh boots, and be on equal footing with Jason Martin now to the end. And well, this is the final stop they need to make for tonight's race as well, Mark.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would imagine anyone in that top 10 will be down in the pit lane, because they can make it home from here. We know that they carry about a 57 to 61 lap fuel tank. So we can see here, just looking at Lachlan and Jones, nose to tail.
Car this really helps out is Joshua Carroll Walden, you got to say, who was really falling back on pace, and this has put him back on the strategy with everybody else, and he has an extra set of tyres up his sleeve as well. So this is very good news for JCW, and this could really be helpful. We'll see a lot of cars waiting for the wave around, as well as all the leaders came into the lane. Maddie Ray is going to be leading that group, I think. And is he going to come into the lane? I think he might be thinking about it. No, he's going to just throwing a dummy maybe. And he stays out just to get the wave around here. Obviously not ideal, because they're going to have to come into the lane. A couple of these guys might be able to make it here, but it's going to be very, very tight indeed. But they'll be struggling just with some slightly worn tyres. Ryan Jones took right side only. Jason Martin took right side only. Lachlan Urquio took right side only. Barry Neal took all 4 tyres.
Well, we'll definitely see that gamble pays off. We've seen in that first caution, the guys that who only took rights struggled.
They didn't do as many laps on those tyres as they did in the first run, but I wonder if we're going to see them struggling once more. Is that the right call to make? Well, we'll find out shortly. So an interesting gamble here, Mark, and well, with 48 laps remaining, it's going to be interesting to see how this one pans out for those drivers that have taken that bit of a risk.
Yeah, I've got to say, if I was out there, I think I would have taken the 4 tyres, especially on the caution, and because it put you back on probably a little bit better footing than those that have taken the 2. But we'll definitely find out because Barry's the only one that took 4, as you said, Carl. Everyone else has taken 2.
Foster took 4 sets of tyres as well, and Carol Walden. So the drivers that took just 2 sets of tyres is Riley Curtis, Gary Wellman, Lachlan Urquhart, Jason Martin and Ryan Jones. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this one pans out, because those cars are going to be a bit unbalanced, I think, and we saw at the start just how much people struggled. Will we see them struggling once more? Pace car pulls in and we're going to go back to green flag racing. Ryan Jones going to be leading him into the restart zone. When does he put his foot down? He puts it down very late indeed. He waits till the last minute. He wanted to leave it as late as possible there. Gets away nicely. Slides up in front of Jason Martin and gets himself into the lead here as they all get underway again. Watch out for those drivers that took 4 tyres. They're going to struggle for the first lap or two, just getting the temperature up, and then they'll come good. We saw that last restart. The drivers on slightly worn tyres were able to get the cars switched on instantly, whereas the drivers that took all 4 just struggled for a lap or two, and then it came back good to them. Up the front, it's Martin and Jones battling it out for the lead.
Great battle here for 3rd place. Lachlan Urquhart has been able to get in front, but a great battle here between Neil, Wellman, Foster and JCW.
Yeah, and look, Barry Neal starting to come back now at those drivers that took 2 sets of tyres, and he gets back past Lachlan Urquhart now, so those 4 tyres now switching on, and I wonder if we're going to start seeing Barry Neal closing in on the front 2. Did the front 2 have enough life on those tyres to make it work, as we see Foster looking to try and make a move on Wellman, who goes down to defend as he tries to make a move on Urquhart as well, and the battling is heating up here, Mark.
Jones has just been able to stretch a little bit of a gap. It's out now to nearly 200ths of a second. But look at the front there, Carl. Neil is actually closing right in now on those 2.
This is what we saw with that first caution, that first restart, and those 4 sets of tyres are now switching on, and Barry Neal has got some great pace. Those 2 tyres not looking like the right gamble to make tonight.
No, definitely not. And as I said, I don't understand. We were under caution. I personally would have been in and taken the 4 and come out, because we, as you said, Carl, we've seen how strong those 4 tyres were once they got up to temp. And it definitely looks like it's happening again, because now Barry Neal back out in the lead of this race. The man to keep an eye on is Foster. He's now got past Gary Wellman, now looking at closing in on Martin.
As Neil up into the lead of this race as well, and he has got himself into a good spot, and well, the 4 sets of tyre guys are going pretty well at the moment and are chancing their way through, because Foster and Carol Walden are closing in on Martin and Jonesy as well, as Jonesy gets heavily into the wall there. Oh, so close to doing what Dave Douglas did as well. He managed to just save that car, but he's lost a couple of positions from that as well. That momentum loss was huge, and yeah, just the balance with 2 tyres in these trucks on this track tonight does not look like it's working at all. You can sometimes get away with it at certain tracks, and certain runs and things like that. But tonight, the 2 sets of tyres really not working for some of these drivers. Gary Wellman and Jonesy side by side as well. They are racing hard for position. Foster and Martin as well, fighting it out for second spot. Edward Foster moving up into P2. Joshua Carroll-Walden follows him through up into third position. Meanwhile, a little bit further back is Wellman and Jonesy fighting it out on track, and Gary Wellman works his way through. Gary Wellman is on 2 sets of tyres, but he only took 2 in that first stint, so I wonder if he sort of knows something the others don't. He's a little bit more used to how the car feels, although he gives the wall a bit of a clip there.
Well, same with Wellman, just rubs the wall. Back up the front though, we've now got JCW and Foster being able to put a gap between themselves and Martin, and closing in on Neil. The gap back between Neil and Foster is 1.5 seconds now.
We saw JCW had some really good pace early on, and he was able to extend that stint. He also has that extra set of tyres up his sleeve, remember. So Carroll-Walden's sitting in a very decent position at the moment, with a couple of extra tyres up his sleeve. If we get a couple more cautions here tonight, he could absolutely be in the prime seating position. And you just see the cars that are sort of some of the faster cars in those early stages that took 2 tyres really dropping off on the pace, and they're falling back fairly quickly. Shane Bowen, I'm not sure, the timing screen says he was stationary for about 13 seconds, but it looks like he may have taken 4 sets of tyres, because he's got some really good pace right here, and he's working his way back up through the field now, getting past Lachlan Urquio, moving himself up into 7th position as they get all so close on the exit of the corner. Riley Curtis looking to make a bit of a pump as well, showing what moves he can make there as well. Ruben Phelps trying to race back to get himself at least in the lucky dog position. He's been stuck a lap down almost all race long.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Ruben having those internet problems. I can confirm that it was some internet issues that made him miss the start of the race. So not a good night for that young Kiwi from over the ditch.
A bit of a shame that one, because looks to have some fairly okay pace out there tonight, and just not been his season so far. It's been a bit of a rough one. See Riley Curtis now making a move on Lachlan Urquio, and this is a crucial move as well, as Riley sitting 3rd in the championship. He wants to finish ahead of Lachlan Urquio if he can. He's going to be hard pressed to jump up into 2nd position unless Urquio makes a big mistake and drops right down the order. But Riley Curtis will dearly love to get some more points under his belt and try and secure that 3rd place, or even jump up into P2 in the championship. Up the front, the gap is closing down to this man Barry Neal. It's now down to half a second as Edward Foster closing in on the gap with JCW right on his tail. These two working together, you've got to say, not racing each other. They are just running as fast as they possibly can to close the gap in on Barry Neal and see if they can get themselves up another spot in this race, possibly take out a 1-2 finish for the team.
Yeah, it definitely is. The gap's now down to half a second, Carl. So that gap has definitely come down. But it's one thing catching Neil, but it's another thing passing him. But he does have the Godfather behind him. So definitely have to wait and see how this one pans out, as we now have 30 laps remaining in this race.
A little bit further back, Gary Wellman is making the 2 tyres work at the moment. He's just got past Jason Martin. So Wellman is showing that it is possible to make this... actually, did Wellman take 4 tyres? Because I've got his box in the wrong... Wellman, I reckon, took 4 tyres as well. So he's absolutely making that work as he got past Jason Martin. So Gary Wellman moving up into 4th position. Have to forgive us as our timing screen just said that Gary Wellman was stationary for 0.6 of a second, so that would suggest that there's a timing error, not that his pit crew are that fast.
If his pit crew's that fast, I want them. But back up the front now, we're down to under half a second gap between Neil and Foster. So those two Natari cars are really working well together.
I think we need to check if Gary Wellman's pit crew are a Formula 1 team or not, because that could well be the case. The Sim Boys are doing some practice in Formula 1 for their pit stops. So, as we said, Mark, that gamble, it may have looked good for track position in that early stage, but for this race, it is not paying off for those guys that took 2 tyres. They are hemorrhaging lap time. The gap to the closest from the leader is Jason Martin, 6 seconds back, and got to say, poor Lachlan Urquhart, he's going to be kicking himself for taking only 2 tyres, because he is just falling down the field. He's just getting past... Matty Ray pulling it into the lane, it looks like, so possibly some kind of issue for Mr. Matty Ray. Unfortunately, hopefully he is all good. It could well be an emergency call for work, unfortunately for him. But Lockie Urquhart, if he had taken 4 tyres, he could well have been finding himself up towards the front of this pack right now.
Yeah, I don't think would have been enough gap difference though for him to steal that championship win. Martin would have to finish fair way down the field, from what I remember.
Meanwhile, up the front, Barry Neal is starting to extend the gap once more, and well, as you said, catching Barry Neal is one thing, but catching Barry Neal is a hard thing to do as well, because he will just toy with you happily and just ease off a little bit, let you close the gap, and then all of a sudden he will be off like a whippet with a bum full of dynamite, flying out across the track and speeding up as quick as possible and building up the gap once more. He is one of those drivers that he's just so very hard to beat on a racetrack. It looks like Matty Ray may have just got a drive-through penalty, so maybe just a few too many touches on the fence, and the incident point counter went up. He's back out on track, but down in 18th position after serving that drive-through penalty. A very harsh penalty on this track.
The gap is staying steady, Carl, around that half second between Foster and Neil. And JCW has dropped off the back of Foster just a little bit too. That's now nearly a half a second that gap there. So I'm just wondering if JCW has had an incident there that we just have missed.
Yeah, he clipped the wall a little bit and just lost a little bit of momentum. So that cost him a little bit of momentum. He's just dropped back a little bit here, unfortunately. He's got a fairly decent gap behind him to Gary Wellman. So there's a few different little things at play here. So it's also going to be who's got tyres left, who doesn't. And we just heard from Mr. Dave Douglas up in the chat that they looks like the majority of the field still have a set up their sleeve. So if we do get a late caution, we will see everybody coming into the lane and slapping on a extra set of tyres just to get them to the very end of the race.
If we do get a caution, Carl, it's going to be one hell of a battle for this race win.
Yeah, we've seen some very fast cars out there, but, well, the fastest is still out front in Barry Neal. He is absolutely flying out there and doing the Toyotas proud, as always, getting up there in the lead. But it has been one of the quickest drivers out there all night, and this is a track where he excels on. But if we do get that late caution, do not discount this car, the 21 Jason Martin. We know how fast he's been tonight as well, but just struggling on the two set of tyre strategy in this final stint. But we still have a few laps to go, and, well, as is common in motorsport, anything can happen, and it usually does. Good battle going on here for 6th and 7th position. Shane Bowen all over the back of Ryan Jones like a rash at the moment, putting him under pressure. We think Bowen has got 4 tyres on that truck. Ryan Jones only the 2 that he took. So it looks like Bowen is going to be trying to put Jonesy under a bit of pressure now and see if he can move himself up into 6th position. Looks like Jonesy's got it covered at the moment, but Bowen's still putting him under a bit of pressure.
We've got Martin closing in on Wellman too, up the front again. So Martin's got a little bit of speed back into that truck.
Yeah, it does look like the tyres are starting to wear down to a point where it's starting to pay off now, and they're starting to get back up to sort of some form of pace. And we are seeing them moving on. They've had an incident between Tristan Koch and Brad Fenley. We will quickly go and look at that replay and find out what's happened here to these 2 trucks. Looks like maybe just a bit of a slide and a little bit of contact in side by side, and that's pinged Koch down into the wall. Didn't bring out the caution though, so that was very lucky indeed not to bring out the caution. The battle is on for 4th position between Wellman and Martin though. These 2 absolutely flying hard, and something's happened to Shane Bowen too. Maybe a bit of contact between himself and Ryan Jones, and we'll quickly jump to that replay and hopefully find out what's happened here between the 11 and the 306 of Bowen, and just a little bit of contact into the corner, and that's really come off worse for Shane Bowen, unfortunately. Heavy impact in the wall, and that's going to leave him needing some serious repairs. A big shame for Shane Bowen tonight.
Yeah, unfortunate for Shane. He's had a good season, and been some good races with him too.
Jason Martin now looking to make the move on Gary Wellman. Going down the inside, he sails it in. Almost contact there. That was as close as you can leave it without having a monster incident. Absolutely millimetre perfect there from Jason Martin. Slides it up in front of Wellman and takes himself back into 4th position.
I think that truck's come alive a little bit too late with 10 laps to go. Martin 9 seconds back, or 9.5 seconds back from Neil. Nearly 4 seconds to JCW for third place. He may be able to get JCW, because JCW is definitely struggling at the moment with grip.
Ryan Jones really struggling out there as well. He's got Stevie Dubb all over the back of him at the moment. The two DPR teammates racing hard for position, and they are really going hard. And well, Jonesy, that was a big old slide as well. The rear tyres are not looking too healthy on that truck at the moment. Some good battles going on a bit further down as well. Maddie Ray and Scott Lefevre battling it out on track at the moment, and they are fighting it out for 13th and 14th position. Just a lap down, trying to see what they can get in this one. And Ruben Phelps is also in this, close to this battle as well. Ruben Phelps fighting it out too, and well, some good battles going on throughout the field at the moment, Mark.
Yeah, definitely right, Carl. Again, we've been sport for battles right throughout the field.
Here we're seeing Maddie Ray and Norman Clark fighting it out on track as well, as Maddie Ray makes his way past and up into 12th position, and it's a fairly long old gap to make it up another spot from here. Meanwhile, our leader is still in this race. He is still lapping around. He's built up a 2.5 second gap over Edward Foster. And, well, it is all going Barry Neal's way at the moment. The Aotearoa racing driver is going well in the 22 and got himself a nice gap. The thing he would not want to see in these late stages is a caution flag.
No, definitely not. With 6 laps remaining, he definitely would like to see this thing stay green.
Joshua Carroll-Walden in third position. He's got a nice gap back to Jason Martin, who just come alive a little bit too late, unfortunately, unable to make the moves. One of the close battles on track is this one. Is Ryan Jones trying to keep ahead of his teammate Cade Donnelly on fresher tyres, coming through and working his way back through the pack, trying to get himself up close to Brad Fenley. But Ryan Jones is just really struggling with that truck at the moment. Every time we cut back to it, the back end is stepping out. Oh, and it stepped out too much there. Big hit into the wall for Ryan Jones. Everybody behind somehow made it through without collecting him. That was a scary moment indeed. That was very much almost the caution flag flying there, Mark.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, I just had a sneezing fit and had my mic muted, so do apologise. Yeah, I don't know how that did not bring out a caution.
He just managed to keep momentum in that truck and just save it in the nick of time, because that very quickly was going to become a caution. We've seen Cade Donnelly pulling it into the lane. Teammate of this man, Gary Wellman, who is currently up in 5th position. So with a couple of laps left to go, Barry Neal has got a very comfortable lead at the moment, and is just going to be hoping that everybody else on track can behave themselves and we don't see a caution flag flying. As he crosses the line, the white flag is out, and he has one less thing to worry about right now for Barry Neal. He just needs to make it through this final lap get just a few more meters on this racetrack, and he will be up in victory lane as he comes around the final corner for the final time tonight. It is going to be the 22, the Aotora racing driver. It is Barry Neal taking victory for the Kiwis and for Toyota here at Darlington. Second place will go to Edward Foster for Natari, with Joshua O'Carroll-Walden coming in third after that strategy he made way in the end, getting him home in for a top 3 finish. Jason Martin comes home fourth and takes the championship. It's Gary Wellman in 5th position. Stevie Dubb will come home in 6th position ahead of his teammate Ryan Jones in 7th. In 8th position, it's Riley Curtis doing all he can to try and get himself up into 2nd spot. Ben Henker comes home in 9th position, with Lachlan Urquio in 10th position, which should be enough to secure him P2 in the championship here tonight. But Barry Neal taking victory and doing some well-deserved donuts here at Darlington.
Yeah, great race again tonight, Carl. We've seen right throughout the field. So fantastic to see Jason Martin take the championship. Unlucky to Lachlan Urquio, so close yet so far.
Absolutely, it's a decent season though for him and the team, and this man Barry Neal has been practicing his donuts, doing a beautiful job there of getting them all lined up in a row with a little clip of the wall. But the 22 deservedly celebrating out there, and now comes the champion Jason Martin's time to burn it up and let those tyres rip as he celebrates his championship run here in the trucks. Barry Neal's engine goes poppity pop as we see our champion up there, 21, Jason Martin, celebrating away. So let us look at the results for this race. I'll bring them up now. And it was Barry Neal taking victory here tonight ahead of Edward Foster, finishing a race for the first time in what feels like an eternity for him, coming home in 2nd. Joshua Carroll-Walden in 3rd position. Jason Martin comes home in 4th, with Gary Wellman in 5th position. Jason Martin taking the championship, of course, in 4th spot. Stevie Dubb comes home in 6th position. Ryan Jones in 7th. Riley Curtis comes home in 8th position, with Ben Henker in 9th and Lachlan Urquio in P10. So we roll over the pages. Matty Ray coming home in 11th position, with Jamie Nankirvis in 12th. 13th position for Ruben Phelps. 14th for Norman Clark. Scott Lefevre back in 15th. 16th for Brad Fenley. Nick Bottrell in 17th spot. Tom Williams down in 18th. 19th for Kate Donnelly. Shane Bowen getting caught out later in the race. Unfortunately, he ends up in 20th position. Tristan Koch comes home 21st, with Dave Douglas out in 22nd. Troy Davidson 23rd. Maxie Marshall 24th. Wesley Closey 25th. And Noddy Tompkins 26th position.
We've still got Martin out there doing donuts and burning the truck down.
Very, very much happy with that championship win, I am sure. Well, as we said, final race of the season for the trucks. But next up, it's the Thunder coming, the Xfinity Series. That will be on the 23rd of May at Charlotte. We will be back with those races live here on Performance E streaming as we get a little bit of a break for a couple of days, which is always nice. A little bit of a week's break for us as we will get back to the racing shortly, of course. But we look forward to coming back with the Xfinity, but a great truck series indeed. And well, I guess we should start with our top 3, Mark.
Yeah, I think we should. I think we better pull up JCW, the pilot of the 35 Chevrolet. Welcome to the booth, JCW, and congratulations on 3rd place tonight.
Yeah, thanks guys. Yeah, that was definitely a bit of a challenging race. But yeah, no, came home with another podium.
Yeah, mate, I've got to ask you, what was the thinking behind staying out on that first caution? Carl and I were a little bit confused that you didn't come in and take those tyres, just trying something different for the race.
Yeah, yeah. Um, we only had three sets of tires, and I knew roughly that we had to stop at least twice for fuel, even after that one stop. So with how many cautions Darlington can bring and crashes and all that stuff, I was just like, well, um, I don't I knew I didn't have the long run pace for like Barry and Martin at that point, so I'm like so yeah I just decided to roll the dice and yeah and yeah like it was yeah I was very much in two minds. I yeah, I think the sensible thing was to pit, but like yeah, it wasn't like a clear cut decision from my end.
No, that's fair enough. Just well, in the end, it paid off for you because you've ended up coming home third. Um, just dropped off in that last stint towards the back of the race there. We just seen you touch the wall just slightly. Was that problem and just run out of tyres?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I wasn't keeping my rears under me as well as Neil and Foster in front of me. So yeah, there was that, and yeah, I guess I was just I was just like, as soon as I knew that, I was just going to run in third until the check flag, unless the caution came out, I just kind of like, just went into autopilot really. So, yeah, as the tyres, started to get away from me, I got a few wake up calls when I rubbed the wall and all that stuff. But yeah, just, it was just circumstance, man.
Yeah, no worries, mate. I've got a comment on your paint scheme. A great throwback. So well done on that one.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, it's one I've been had pinned for a while, but yeah, credit goes to my teammate Edward Foster for doing that up. Because yeah, like he actually knows his way around a paintbrush, unlike myself. So yeah, no, he did a really good job with this truck and also with his own truck tonight. So yeah, he's pretty good at more things than just driving.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Well, again, congratulations on third place. But before we let you go, shout out to sponsors and supporters.
Yeah, shout out to our sponsors first for, allowing Atari to do what we do every single week. Growth Odyssey, Fully Flawed, Turbo Alpha Japan. Um, Shout out to my teammates, Edward, really good job coming in second place with, a bit of, even though he's been away for a little while. Shout out to Toby and Daniel as well. Shout out to Barry for winning the race and Martin for winning yet another ANZCAR championship. Um, Shout out to you guys in the box for the commentary and the cameras and the broadcasting. It's been really fantastic. Shout out to all the other admins as well, and yeah, shout out to everyone for making this a pretty good first season.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely. Well, a couple of weeks off, then into the Xfinity car. We're going to see you over there and in those things.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, man, definitely. Those cars can be, hit and miss at times, but on the whole, they are, just basically, an echo of what racing the Gen 6 was like. So, yeah, they're a unique, fun blast to drive, and yeah, I'll definitely be back for the Xfinity season.
Yeah, definitely. We're looking forward to seeing you over there in a couple of weeks, mate. Again, thanks for your time and congratulations on third place.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
All right. Next up, we'll bring up the pilot of the 53 car truck. The man that said that he's lost all his talent in a conversation we had earlier this afternoon. Mate, if that's losing talent, I definitely want to lose some talent myself.
Oh, yeah, man. I was starting to think I couldn't do this anymore. I ran a couple of laps. I ran a few laps in practice, and it was average, and I couldn't get a good time in. And then qualifying was awful, and I'm just like, oh, maybe I can't do this anymore. Maybe this part-time thing's finally starting to catch up with me. But as the race went on, I kind of figured it out a bit. Being behind a couple of fast people probably helped. All came alright in the end.
Yeah, definitely come up a good second place, mate. But we do know you do like this place, though, don't you?
Oh yeah, I love Darlington. It's just there's so much to it. Like both ends of the track are different. It's really narrow. There's so much to it for such a people. They look at ovals. Yeah, they're fairly simple, but this one's got a lot to it. Kind of like Martinsville. It's got a lot to think about and a lot to do, and there's a lot of places that a lot of little things you can do that can sort of help make the difference if you kind of know about them and other people don't. So I always enjoy coming here.
Yeah, we were talking earlier on in the race about the just around sunset coming out of turns 3 and 4 down 2 and 3 coming 1 and 2. I'll get it right in a minute.
Maybe 4 corners, Mark.
It was one of them.
Yeah, no, 1 and 2 coming down that back straight where that at that time with that sun setting. How much of an issue is that sun setting here at that time of afternoon in these trucks, Ed?
Not really an issue. I've got to be honest. I didn't even notice it.
Fair enough. It looked like it was a little bit of an issue when we jumped on board a few people and that the sun was there. Just something that would have taken some drivers' minds away from the actual track, trying to block the sun.
Don't know.
Well, mate, a great return. We don't see you on track that much now, with work commitments and other things. But every time you come out, we definitely can't count you out of a podium, just like tonight, a second place.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much work commitments and so on. Like, I work kind of during the day most of the time. It's just, I don't always sort of feel like jumping in. Some days I feel like it, some days I don't. It depends on the track and how I'm feeling on that day and everything else. So, all I want to do when I come out, though, is make sure I run good and don't embarrass myself. So there's absolutely no shame in running second to Barry. He probably doesn't get enough credit, Barry Neal, in terms of how good he actually is. But he was running ahead of me, and he was running absolutely perfect. He was running perfect lines, everything else, and of course I had to try something different. I had to try and mix it up a little bit, and some of the things I tried worked, and some didn't. And then I had to drive too hard to try and catch up to him, and then we got traffic, and so I burnt my tyres up and everything like that. And that's the thing, when you're in second, you've got to be the creative one to try and come up with something that's going to get you up there with that leader, while the leader just needs to do what he does, and he was doing it perfectly tonight. So I'm certainly not upset coming second to him. Ran good, so I'm happy.
Yeah, definitely a great race. Well, mate, before we let you go, shout out the personal sponsors and supporters.
Just shouts out to everyone that came out tonight. The fields are really good at the moment. Not only good in numbers, but great in just, the ability level and the personalities of the people, the characters of the people we got out. They're all really good guys to race with and everything else. So, thanks to all of those guys. Everyone who came out for the season and supported that. So, and of course you guys for the broadcast as well, and of course the team sponsors, which are Fully Floored, Growth Odyssey, and Turbo Alpha Japan.
Yeah, thanks very much, mate. A great return to racing. Hopefully we'll see you in the Xfinity cars in a couple of weeks. And we might see you on track a little bit more, maybe.
Nah. No, you won't. I'll probably show up for 2 or 3 races or something like that. But no, I've got no plans to race any more than I'm currently doing. This part-time thing kind of suits me pretty well, I think. So I'm just going to keep doing this.
Fair enough, mate. Well, congratulations, mate, and we'll see you next time when you decide to jump into the 53 Xfinity car.
Love it, guys. Catch you soon.
Thanks, Ed. And now the pilot of the Toyota 22 truck, and the flying Kiwi, Mr. Barry Neal. Welcome to the booth, mate, and congratulations on a great race win tonight.
Yeah, no, thanks, mate. It was fun. I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah, definitely, mate. We were commenting before that we seen you on a part of a track that we don't normally see you on where you normally like to run that low line. But tonight, a great race running around the top. Fell back down to 14th at the lowest, but come back through the field and took the race win.
Yeah, no, it was good. Like you can't do anything other than run the top through 1 and 2, I don't think. But I don't like running the top in 3 and 4 as is my way. But yeah, no, it was good. I was lucky that we didn't have as many yellows because I'd used all my tyres, and with that last yellow I took tyres. So, and the first yellow I took tyres too. So I was always on good tyres, which helps, and so that helped in that respect. But yeah, I think it was good. I was able to settle in, and most those starts could quickly get to the lead and then just kind of settle on a pace where I thought keep a bit of a gap and just look after my tyres. And especially that last run, once I got to the lead when I took those guys that hadn't taken tyres, and then once Ed and JCW had kind of got him behind, I just settled on a pace where I thought they wouldn't catch me too quick, but I'd look after my tyres because I was looking forward. When there's slow cars and then there's fast cars, it's really easy to lose a second a lap, and so it's kind of good to have tyres in those situations.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen some guys come in through their pit stops and just take rights. Definitely wasn't the way to go tonight. The 4 tyre option definitely seemed to be the better way here at Darlington tonight.
Yeah, I'm never a fan of 2 tyres unless it's only like 10 laps or something. You've got to take all 4, because even though you might lose a few extra seconds, the gain over a full stint is always good. And that was kind of good. I was really, when that yellow came out with about 50 to go or 52 to go or whatever, I was kind of like, this is good. If it goes green the rest of the way, that's almost a whole stint. And I like my chances when I have a whole stint on a set of tyres. I feel that I can do as good a job as most people on a full stint. So I was kind of quite glad. If it had to come out, I had that. It was a full stint of tyres to use.
Yeah, and it definitely worked for you tonight. You were, as you said, you were able to pick a pace and just stick with it, and keep Foster and JCW at arm's length. So some great racing tonight. Great racing right throughout the series, Barry, for everyone. I don't think we've had a series like this where it's been such close racing right throughout the field.
No, it's been good. It's been fun. A fun series. We've all had our dramas. I've had a few. I wasn't looking forward to the last 2 laps because the last at least 2 or 3 races we've kind of got to the last couple of laps and ended up in the fence dead. So I was really glad when the white flag came out in this particular race, and I knew I'd be able to get it to the finish without having a late caution, which we've seemed to have been having quite recently in a few of the races, both at in the Gen 6 and in the trucks.
Yeah, Dep. Well, mate, a great season for you. A great race win here tonight. Before we let you go, a shout out to sponsors and supporters.
Yeah. Well, thanks to Aotearoa Racing, thanks to ANZCAR for putting it on. You guys doing the broadcast, and actually Brad and Tristan, who I kind of hang out with in Discord. It's always good to sit and talk to them at the same time. So thanks.
No worries, mate. Well, thanks for your time tonight, and again, congratulations on a great race win here at Darlington.
Cool,
The
thanks.
final round of the trucks.
Cool. See you, Mark. See you, Cal.
Yeah. So, one little thing left to do. We will bring up a new king and crown him a 2024 truck champion, Jason Martin, pilot of the 21 Chevrolet. Welcome to the booth, mate, and what a great season you've had, and a championship.
Woo, thanks, mate. Yeah, real happy with that.
I'm so glad I got out of that truck for the last couple of races for you. Mate, great season. Hard fought with Lachlan Urquio. Just some great racing for you right throughout the season.
Yeah, Lockie and Riley were right up there all season. They did an awesome job, and I thought the points were a lot closer than they were because I didn't look at them at all. So I had no idea what the points gap was going into that race. So I was just trying to stay in front of Lockie.
Well, the way it worked out was that you needed to be wrecked out or crash out, and Lockie needed to win it. So it was a hard ask for him. But again, I guess that's what you get for just putting in constant races. Some great top 10 finishes for you right throughout the season. And again, just some great driving from you.
Yeah, and a bit of luck as well on Talladega and Daytona tracks. I normally struggle to get decent results. I think I got my best results there this season, so bit of luck as well.
Oh, mate, you always got to have a bit of luck. But yeah, we were trying to work out how many championships this is now.
I wouldn't have a clue. I don't keep track of them. I probably should, because one day I'll look back and wish I did. But yeah, I just race and try and do the best I can each race.
Yeah, definitely. Well, mate, we've put a cap on the truck season. With you being crowned champion, off to the Xfinity cars next. We're going to see you in those things for hopefully another great season.
Yeah, I enjoyed it last season when I drove it, so unless it's changed, I like that car more than the others, so yeah, I'll jump in there and see how I go.
Yeah, definitely good to see. Well, mate, before we let you go and put a cap on the truck season, a final shout out to your sponsors and supporters for a great season.
The boys at Mitch Motorsports, Leppy Motorsports Concepts were sponsoring us. Got to thank ANZCAR for putting on a great league. Got to be the best oval league in Australia. Got to thank Performance eStreaming for the broadcast. You guys do a great job every week. And yeah, well done Lockie, well done Riley. Great job on the season.
Yep, thanks very much, mate. And thanks for your time. And again, congratulations on the 2024 Truck Championship win.
Hell yeah.
Well, there you have it, folks. One very happy person. What a great way to finish off the season, Carl.
Absolutely, fantastic job indeed. And I'll just run through the championship standings as they finished. It was Jason Martin taking the win on the championship, 21 points ahead of Lachlan Urquio in second, 39 points down behind the leader with Riley Curtis, who secured third position. Norman Clark came home in fourth spot for the championship, with Shane Bowen securing fifth position. Cade Donnelly comes home in sixth, with Ruben Phelps seventh, eighth for Joshua Carroll-Walden, Brad Fenley in ninth, and Barry Neal managed to move himself up into the top 10 with that victory here tonight. So, as we said, we've got a week off, Mark. We actually get to take a break, which is nice. But we will be back with you next time at Charlotte on the 23rd of May for the Xfinity Series. But a big thank you to everybody for joining us here tonight, everybody who has joined us watching and, of course, racing here at the ANZCAR Trucks. A big thank you for everybody, and we will see you again in 2 weeks' time when we head off with the Xfinities. A big thank you to Mr. Mark Johansson and from myself, Mr. Carl Wilkinson. With you, we'll wish you a good night, and we will see you again very, very soon.